Hello, everyone. So every year, Congress, rather than producing a cogent budget, a comprehensive budget, sort of operates off these continuing resolutions and passing these incremental budgets to keep the government running. And most recently, they've passed, or they're in the process of completing, the national defense budget, which is roughly about $895 billion. And now they're in the process of passing a continuing resolution for the discretionary part of the budget for all the other things the government needs to do. And this right now is about 386, $400 billion. And this will take us out to 14 March 2025. Now, part of this budget that caught my eye was a pay raise for Congress. And it struck me, why do they decide themselves to get a pay raise? So I started some digging into it. And come to find out, this continuing resolution is 1,500 pages long. And trust me, I tried. I honestly tried to read the whole thing, and I couldn't get through it. I mean, it was like, death by 1,000 duck bites. I mean, it's all over the place. And I've got a business background, and I've never seen anything like it, quite frankly. You know, budgets are supposed to be comprehensive, detailed, and they should, at the end, balance out based on the revenue that you're getting in and your expenses. Well, this thing is all over the place, right? And so they snuck in a 3.8% pay raise, which is the cost of living allowance, essentially, which is the highest. Now, keep in mind, 3.8% for Congress, where Social Security, they gave us 2.5%. So 1.3% is a little bit extra that they kept for themselves. So that caught my eye, and this comes out to about $6,600 a year for every congressman. The average salary for a congressman is about $174,000, whereas an average salary for an American is roughly about $63,000. So these guys are getting, about a threefold salary that an average American is getting. Yet they still get a cost of living allowance, and I get it. But if you think about it, the minimum wage in the United States is $7.25. Now, that minimum wage has not gone up since 2009. Neither has Congress's salary gone up since 2009. We didn't increase the minimum wage this year, but we increased the congressional salary. To me, that's just fundamentally wrong. And it's also wrong that Congress decides by themselves that they are the ones to decide when they get a pay raise or not. No, they don't get to decide. The American people get to decide. And I'll tell you why. Because since 2009, if you look at our national debt in 2009, it was about $12 trillion. Today, it's hovering at $36 trillion, right? So 12 minus 36, it's gone up $24 trillion since 2009. So why should we give you a pay raise, right? In the last 2 years, it's gone up $4 trillion since 2022. Okay, so just this past Congress, why should you get a pay raise when you've and gone into debt by $4 trillion? That makes absolutely no sense, does it? Oh, by the way, you've got 50 million Americans that are food insecure. You've got homeless veterans. You've got rising crime. You've got a drug epidemic going on. You got decaying infrastructure. You got an unsecured border. You got a healthcare that's a disaster, yet you think you deserve a pay raise? I don't think so. And why don't the American people get to vote on it, especially when we just had an election? Why wasn't there a referendum, public referendum? Should Congress get a pay raise? Yes or no? I mean, it's really that simple, right? Now, on these important issues, I think the people should get a chance to decide. And it's very simple to do. I mean, this stuff is not complicated. I mean, we've got all sorts of technology available. That's how I'm talking to you all, on technology. And the whole idea is it should be secure. Not every one of us has a Social Security number. We all do, right? And we all have an account with the Social Security Administration. And they've got a great website if you go on there. And I encourage everybody to go on there and see what your benefits are. Okay, so we can easily go on, log into by our Social Security number onto the Social Security Administration website, which is a secure website. And if you're 18 or over, you get to vote. And you get to decide if Congress should get a pay raise. It's very simple, yes or no. And whatever that number comes out to be, if majority says yes, yep, you get a pay raise. If they say no, guess what, guys? You don't get a pay raise. So we need to have more participation from the American people. We send you to Washington, D.C. to look after the American people's interest, not your self-interest. To me, it's just unethical that you get to decide that you get a pay raise. You don't get a pay raise because the people haven't voted on it. And then you sneak it into a document of 1,500 pages. I mean, that makes absolutely no sense. You know, this is why people are losing confidence in our system. And this system is, you know, instead of being a democracy where the people count, it's becoming a kleptocracy or an oligarchy. You know, where the rich get to decide which way this country is headed. And our vote, aside from the, you know, every 2-year election, beyond that, it doesn't matter. And if you go into this 1,500 pages like I did, I mean, there's all sorts of pork in there. There's pork in there for big pharma. There's even pork in there for the NFL team commanders to move the RFK stadium or something. Why is that so damn important in a continuing resolution? Continuing resolution ought to be to keep the government open, to make sure that our military, law enforcement, and borders are secure. So we need to do better. And my advice to you all is, and this pay raise should not go through. Now there's some congressmen that are opposed to this, and I applaud them because Congress hasn't earned the right to get a pay raise. This closed group of people that are making substantial amount of money, $174,000 is a lot of money. And oh, by the way, it's not just $174,000; they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars from their political action committees, where, you know, the military-industrial complex makes donations, the big pharma makes donations. You've got foreign lobbies that make donations. NRA makes donations. You know, you look at somebody like Joe Biden. President Biden's, you know, made over $11 million from just one lobby group. $11 million he's made. That's gone to his political action committee. You know, which the money can be used for a variety of things: travel, you know, hotel stay, food, and whatnot for official purposes. And so we got to clean all this stuff up if we want us to remain competitive in this world. Because anywhere else, I'm telling you, that kind of donation to a politician is called corruption in the rest of the world. But unfortunately, we've sort of kind of legalized it in the United States, and we got to stop that. And we got to clean it up. And Congress, and if you need to produce a comprehensive budget one time so the American people can read the whole document and figure out, you know, if this thing is making sense, right? These continuing resolutions that you keep passing that make no sense, 1,500 pages, you know, for 4 months. And then you're going to pass another one. And then a person doesn't have time to go back and read the previous 1,500 pages to figure out what the hell's going on. You know, corporations produce one budget. And it's reviewed and it's approved. And then you execute that budget. And then you get paid and your bonuses based on how well you did against that budget. Did you meet your profitability targets? Did you meet your cost targets? Did you meet your revenue targets? You know, all that stuff. And that's how we ought to be judging you all in Congress. That's all I got. Stay rugged, stay engaged. Con out.